before, one way to handle this would be to, where it says not to exceed 18 million, have it say not to exceed 19,800,000. And then in parentheses, including the 10% reserve, close parentheses. That might provide the level of clarification without making a huge, significant difference in the document. Just a possibility.
Does that deem a less enough change that we don't have to start all over?
I think it is a clarification, and the real answer to that question would come from Bob Cole. If we, based on the calendar, can we go one more?
We would have to have a special meeting.
If
If you
that
wanted
was,
to do first reading with a change, then I could post it, and we would have to have a special meeting either probably next Friday or say Monday the 17th maybe.
and we can find out from Mr. Cole in the morning whether it would be deemed so significant as to require another reading of the ordinance.
Okay, just keep Schanzenbaker.
This is a new question for me, so I'd feel more comfortable if we got some clarification from Bob, because I'm not sure if we changed this amount not to exceed number, if the wording of the 10% in the next paragraph means 10% of the larger number that we're adding, or if we can.
Well, that's why I made the reference in parentheses, including the 10% reserve.
Right, just the 10% of the aggregate principal amount, if we're determining that 19.8 is our new principal. I'm not sure.
I appreciate that. I appreciate it.
Okay, so anybody have a suggestion?
When do we have to approve this as far as the timetable schedule?
We need to approve it prior to the 20th.
Prior to the 20th? So we could do it special meeting next week, or?
Well, if I post it today, I need 10 days before we do another reading. So it would either have to be maybe here or one of these days.
Gotcha.
Would you like me to call Bob Cole and find out if this requires a?
Well, if we do it, it's done, and if Bob says we shouldn't have,
But we don't want, this would be a first reading again.
if we pass it tonight as a second reading with the change, and Bob thinks it's okay, we're done. If he says we have to do it again, then it becomes, the next one becomes the first reading?
Would become the second.
This would be the first reading and we'd do a second reading. Why don't you give me 5 minutes and I'll.
If we could have a short break, and we'll give Bob Cole a call, see if we can get him on the phone, and maybe we can get this answered today.
Yeah. Quick break is a broad word.
5 minutes?
5 minutes, yeah.
They were trying to be nice to you guys, but they've given you too many choices. That's the whole problem here.
If they go back to the base version,
I'll-
we're approving this with amendments and we'll have another reading. If they approve it as is, but they shouldn't change this tonight because we aren't wrong. It's when you go to issue the bonds, it's when you show them
You might as well
you
have the reserve.
you are going to set that
Create a
reserve.
reserve. Means you bill it for 16 minutes.
Right.
It's fine.
Okay, so after talking with Bob Cole, the town is only asking the voters to approve $18 million. The $18 million loan is what we're asking for, period. When the bonds are issued, that is when either we can let them know that we are going to put that $1.7 million into a reserve account in order to get the AAA rating. But that isn't until the bonds are issued.
Well, if we do that and the voters haven't approved, we can't do it.
The voters are approving $18 million.
That's what I'm saying. And if bond says you need that 1.7 or this thing ain't gonna fly, we can't do it.
We can, when we go to issue the bonds, that's when we're gonna let them know. We don't necessarily need to ask the voters to approve that 10%. It's not an additional 10%. Now, if you like, you can require that in the ballot language. Either way, we're gonna most likely wanna get the AAA rating, and so we will put.
And that's my point. If it passes
Correct.
with a maximum of $18 million, we're done. We can't say, oh, well, by the way, we're gonna throw in a couple more million. I don't
No,
think
there
we
is
do
no
that.
more million. What happens is then the 10%, the $1.8 million goes into a reserve account, and we build it with $16.2 million.
You're building with 16.2.
So it comes off
Well,
of the
then-
18.
Correct,
Which is the way that I thought it was all along.
correct.
Well, this paperwork that we got, and I don't, you can tell me, you gave it to us, talked about $1.7 million in addition to the 18,695, bringing it up to 19,732. All I'm asking, is that the real number?
According to Bob, it's not. That
Well,
it's
if-
not over $18 million, because that's all.
So our
about-
construction cost can't, if we could take that option, our construction cost can't exceed 16.2.
That is correct.
So if the bid comes in at 17 million, then we forego the reserve, which runs the bond cost up, the interest rates up, and all these numbers go away. They're not correct anymore, potentially. Is that right?
You can't build it for more than, based on what Bob's explanation is, you cannot, you would build it for 16.2 million. You would modify your plans to make sure you're underneath, you're that figure or less. 16.2 million plus 1.8 reserve.
Trustee Lattin.
Mr. Mayor, I would move to approve ordinance 804 its second reading, an ordinance of the town of Pagosa Springs, submitting to the registered elector voting in the regular municipal election to be held April 8th, 2014, a ballot issue concerning the imposition of the town-wide sales tax imposed on the sales of tangible personal property at retail and for the furnishing of services to be deposited into a town recreation center fund and used solely for the purpose of constructing, improving, equipping, operating, and maintaining a community recreation center and providing for the repayment of the revenue bond issued for this purpose, to provide for the submission of the ordinance for approval at the general municipal election, and to amend the Pagosa Springs Municipal Code.
Second.
All in favor, signify by saying aye. Nay?
Nay.
Nay. Motion carries. Okay, next council meeting is February the 20th.
To you until we meet again.